One time Charles Barkley held Larry Bird's arms back while Dr. J took swings at him. This player not only threatened to kill his coach, but even choked him. Yet none of these guys got banned. It's possible to be involved in multiple brawls, John with your own pets, even be arrested for kidnapping twice, and still not get banned by the NBA. So what exactly does get a player banned? What action can be even more severe than all those and result in a ban? Well, some of the reasons are kind of obvious, but the other ones are ones you never expect. Turns out NBA players are a lot more acoustic than you'd think, which shouldn't even be surprising though, because just look at this man. He has complete free will and decided to show up to a game dressed like Taco Bell's mascot. Those gordita crunches aren't going to help you beat LeBron, dog. And also, before you little dimwits start commenting, oh, that player isn't even banned. You don't even know what you're talking about. I know some of these players aren't officially banned, but rather blacklisted from the league. Some coaches and GMs have agreed not to sign him. So doesn't that practically mean he's banned? Let's put our thinking caps on now. Yes. So please don't be commenting that dumb stuff. Like, just look at Boogie Cousins. At that time, he was a very good big in the league. In fact, Donkey even said he was the best big man in the league. In his last game, he dropped 19 points in only 15 minutes. In a playoff game. Yet no team picked him up. Something shady was up. And that's when his own GM told him that teams were scared of him and had agreed not to sign him. Now, if all the teams agreed not to sign him, doesn't that mean he's banned? Exactly. I know how to explain that because I know some of y'all slow. One time somebody sent shockwaves in the NBA when they got banned for being racist towards black people. That somebody also happened to be the owner of the Clippers, which if you think about it is kind of crazy. Because being racist in the NBA is like Helen Keller going to the movies. It makes no sense. Sterling got exposed when someone who he trusted the most ended up being the same person that caused his downfall. And the thing is that something tells me his racist views were pretty well known before in NBA circles, way before they became public. One time Kobe wanted to join the Clippers, but Jerry West quickly stepped in and told him, "You don't want to play for that guy." Now, who knows if that's 100% true? Unlike what happened in April 2014, when actual tapes were leaked of Donald Sterling making racist comments.
Yeah, it bothers me a lot that you want to broadcast that you're associating with black people. You don't have to. You could sleep with them, you could bring them in, you could do whatever you want. The little I ask you is not to promote it on that and not to bring them to my games.
The person who had leaked them was his side piece. Same kitty he was paying for is the same one that exposed him. What a shame. But that's why Beethoven always said, less simping, more pimping. After that, he was not only forced to sell his team, but banned permanently. People are always looking for ways to cheat in the gambling world, but always end up failing. Ask me how I know. From paying off players to even coaches, but this doesn't always work. Sometimes it's even gotten to the point of threatening lives, but still not a guarantee. No matter what they tried, they always failed. Well, that was until they discovered this genius plan. Tim Donaghy found a way to affect games with more success than ever before. Tim was a referee in the NBA who had ties to mobs, gambling rings, and many other things. And because he was a ref, Tim started rigging games left and right. He was calling fouls, fouling people out, handing out technicals. He and his boys were absolutely cleaning up, and they kept this up for over 4 years. That was until the FBI started investigating him. Donaghy would not only get banned, but also sentenced to 15 months in prison. And the FBI also investigated a player for gambling on games, Jontay Porter, which reminded me of this clip that always used to confuse me, cause it gets pissed off after making a 3. Well, that makes a lot more sense now. Porter was caught betting on his own games, with bets like taking the under on his points, even the Raptors losing. This would all eventually lead to his ban. But personally, I wouldn't have banned him for this. Nah, I would have banned him way before that, for absolutely being dog water, cause what the heck is this? And that's not even the only gambling incident in the NBA, except this one resulted in the ban of 36 different players, including one who was threatened by the mob, chased down by them until eventually they would catch him. In the 50s, the NBA was rocked by a huge point-shaving scandal. Players were being paid to purposefully play bad, resulting in their teams losing. The gamblers, knowing this, would then bet on the other team, creating an infinite money glitch. All this would come to an end though after the NBA found out, and they took swift action, banning everyone involved, including a player named Connie Hawkins, which is where things take a turn because something was wrong. Connie Hawkins had an extremely tough life growing up, as his mom was blind. His family grew up in extreme poverty and their only chance out was through him. So, Connie made a name for himself and earned a spot as a freshman on the college team. However, this wasn't all hunky-dory as he was extremely poor and had no way to provide for himself. All his hopes and dreams were slowly slipping away right before him. His entire family was depending on him, but there was simply nothing he could do as there was no way to pay for all his expenses. Thankfully, Connie came up with a solution. He ended up borrowing money from someone, and his college career continued. The person who he had borrowed money from ended up being the same person at the center of the gambling scandal. As a result, when the scandal came out, Connie's name was in the middle of it all, resulting in a ban. The thing was though, Connie had absolutely done nothing wrong. He didn't partake in any of the rigging attempts. All he did was simply borrow money from the wrong person. But the NBA didn't care about this, because to them, it was extremely obvious as all signs pointed to him being involved. To them, he had not only borrowed money, but he borrowed it from the leader of the gambling scandal. Despite him being 100% clean, he was still banned. However, there was one thing that completely proved his innocence. In the NCAA at the time, freshman players were not allowed to participate. Because of this one rule, there was absolutely no way he could have been involved in throwing games. Not only was he cleared, but the dream lived on. Except, the NBA still didn't care. As a matter of fact, the NBA commissioner said if any teams were to draft Connie, the contract would be voided. Connie Hawkins was effectively blackballed by the NBA. He had no choice now but to play in the ABA, which actually turned out to be a blessing. In the ABA, Connie started going off, which got his name into headlines. Because of this, the media and fans started picking up on his story and started to fight for him. The better he played, the more pressure there was on the NBA to bring him back, which is exactly what ended up happening. And in the end, Connie would go on to have a Hall of Fame career. My man had a good ending. The next guy ended up losing his life over it. Oh yeah, and also, it was the same guy that Connie had borrowed money from. Jack Molinas was a mastermind behind the 50s gambling scandal. He too was banned, and he also got sentenced to 15 years in prison. Now, this seemed like it would put an end to all of his rigmarole, because normally, that's what prison does to people. It teaches you a lesson. However, for Jack, things were barely getting started. He became the leader of another gambling ring, this one with ties to the mob now. He would rig boxing matches, horse races, college and NBA games. Not only that, but he even started trafficking illegal goods. And he used all that money to live like a king. He bought mansions, dated corn stars, played pickup games with the likes of Will Chamberlain. Jack was on top of the world. But on his way to the top, he also made some massive mistakes. The people who Jack had gotten into business with were some of the most dangerous criminals on the planet. These weren't the guys you wanted to mess with or wanted to make enemies out of. Which is exactly what Molinas did. Rumors reported Jack owing them money. We're talking millions of dollars. And as a result, he started receiving death threats. In fact, his business partner was even beaten to death by the mob. And on the middle of the night in 1975, Molinas was shot and killed. The police would rule it mob-related. Bro got a bounty put on his head for not paying for his parlays. But hey, at least he went out harder than ever. Don't take that too literally. Birdman was banned for a completely different reason. He was caught pounding the rock harder than Lamar Odom on the court and off the court. He had tested positive for drugs like meth, LSD, PCP, and many more. Denver then slapped him with a ban, and from the looks of it, sunburn too. This was the worst possible thing that could happen to Birdman, as well as his mom, who, as reports said, cried every day because of this. They grew up in poverty after his dad walked out on them, faced many hardships, barely made ends meet, and it seemed like they had finally made it out. Birdman even promised to buy her a house, pay for her medical bills, even buy her a Lambo, but she didn't want a Lambo. She just wanted her son to have a better life. But now that was all over. Everything they had worked for, gone in a matter of seconds. Until Birdman shocked everyone, because just 2 years later, he was back in the NBA. Not only was he back, but he went on to have a great career, even became a champion. He also fulfilled his promises to his mom and bought her that house, paid for her medical bills, and gave her the life she deserved. All thanks to his ban only lasting 2 years. The next guy did the same exact thing as he did. Same plug, same everything. But he got banned for life. The definition of white privilege. OJ Mayo had also tested positive for drugs in his system for things like PCP, LSD, and others, just like Birdman. And like Birdman, he also received a 2-year ban. However, after his 2 years were up, there was no call, no nothing. Not a single team wanted anything to do with them. While Birdman only got 2 years, OJ got a lifetime ban. They were treating OJ Mayo like OJ Simpson out there. Which is honestly crazy because we had Karl Malone with that predator instinct on and off the court. Heck, he even had his apprentice down at OKC doing the same thing. Yet neither got banned. The worst thing that happened to him was just getting postered. Which isn't the only poster that man's on. He also on a wanted poster. Unfortunately for Mayo, he never stepped back on an NBA court again. Guess the NBA would rather have their future in P. Giddy's hands. And Mayo wasn't even the only player who got banned for drugs, as Evans also got hit with the lifetime ban. And the thing was that Reek was actually a really good player in the league, and if it wasn't for his addiction, who knows what this man could have done. Fortunately, we would never find out, as he also received a 2-year ban on drugs. The NBA decided not to disclose what drugs specifically, but come on now, let's grab our thinking caps again. If he got banned for 2 years, it's gotta be something big. Like, you gotta be changing molecules out there. It's gotta be the stuff that Walter White and Jesse were cooking up. Not that middle school kid stuff. Oh look, here comes Giddy. And after his 2-year ban was over, he too never made it back in the NBA. Which is honestly a shame because he showed flashes of greatness. Now, who knows if Tyreke would have actually been a star? But one thing we know for sure is that the next guy was 100% gonna be one. This is a guy who Magic said would not only talk trash to him, but go at him every play. IT said that he was the only guy that ever scared him, while Larry Bird called him the best player on the planet. He was a 4-time All-Star. First player ever to lead the league in assists and steals. Just a man among little boys out there. I'm talking Karl Malone. His name was Michael Ray Richardson. He accomplished all this with drugs in his system. Now imagine how good he would have been if he was sober. The NBA first caught him with coke in his system and said that he wasn't allowed to and told him to stop. But just like Malone, you know he ain't listening to all that. Malone never listened to no stop or anything in his life. So Richardson continued. Finally, the NBA would ban him after catching him 3 different times with coke in his system. And now all we have left is just a lot of questions and theories on how good Michael Ray Richardson could have actually been. The next player didn't get banned for drugs, gambling, or even for a fight. In fact, he hardly got into any trouble at all. If you were to ask him why, it's because he used to date Khloe Kardashian. And that's when she used to look like Shrek, which is diabolical. In fact, he said his biggest life regret ever was dating her. And she's the reason why he's banned. I mean, let's face it, those girls are worse than knee tendonitis is to NBA players. But despite him blaming Khloe, there was actually another darker reason why he was banned. According to his teammates, McCants was described as a locker room cancer and he didn't care for his team. There were even some teammates who said there was not a single coach nor teammate that liked him. Even Kevin Love slandered his name, saying, "You have to know how to talk to people and when to bite your tongue." And this is coming from Kevin Love, one of the nicest guys in the league. The T-Wolves eventually dropped Bro like a bad habit, which is a shame because Rashard was actually a star. He had the potential of being a very, very good player in the league. And like McCants, Isaiah Ryder was another young star in the league. In college, he averaged 30 points a game, leading to him getting drafted. And that wasn't even the best part, because during his draft day interview, he decided to say this.
A rookie won the slam dunk last year. If you're in it, you're going to win it this time?
If I get in the slam dunk contest, I guarantee it, I'm taking it. I'm telling everybody now.
Okay, J.R. Ryder, things will be exciting in Minnesota.
And when he made it in the NBA, he did exactly that. Ryder won the dunk contest, made first team all-rookie, even led the Hawks in scoring when they shocked everyone by cutting him. This was extremely strange and nobody had any idea what was going on. Every team in the league was looking for a scorer, so to cut your best one was extremely bizarre. Ryder then came out and said that there isn't any reason why he shouldn't be in the NBA. The Hawks then responded to this by saying that he would show up late to practices and even miss some as well. But this only further confused people, cause that's not enough of a reason to cut somebody. Just ask Allen Iverson. And that's when a report surfaced, saying Ryder had kicked a female in the head. Then another headline followed, saying he had been arrested for having an illegal phone in his possession. To make matters worse, Ryder was then accused of kidnapping his own son, who he had no custody over. Despite all this, Ryder still argued that he belonged, saying that unlike the players who did get banned for things like drugs, he had never even failed a drug test. In fact, he was willing to take one every week if they wanted him to. And because he wasn't doing any of the things that players got banned for, he deserved to be in the league. Despite this, all signs pointed to him being done in the NBA. Until the Lakers picked him up. Guess the NBA would rather have their players assault women and kidnap than use weed. Heck, even Kyrie missed more games for just sharing a goddamn link. On the Lakers, even more controversies followed Isaiah Ryder. He was accused of shoving his fiancée now, even to try to run away from the cops. And to top it all off, unlike him saying that he had never failed a drug test, well, with the Lakers, he tested positive with weed. They eventually ended up dropping him as well. But believe it or not, he got a third chance, this time with the Nuggets. And after just 10 days with them, they cut him too. Just like a homeless woman, bro was getting dropped off everywhere. Free my boy Ryder though, just not near me. Jeremy Lin was unleashed onto the city of New York and became a worldwide superstar overnight. He single-handedly caused a pandemic as people started testing positive for Lin's sanity. At his peak, he shattered records, went toe-to-toe with Kobe, hit game winners, but it didn't just end there. Because after taking the league over by storm, he continued to have a good career, became a fan favorite, until the NBA surprised everyone by banning Lin. And the reasons for why they did it? Even more surprising and left everyone confuzzled. How could a guy who was a solid player, someone who was loved by everyone, all of a sudden get banned? What on God's earth was strong enough to justify this? Well, according to Lin, he believes racism played a part. And he might be right, because Lin was called coronavirus during a game. Another time, they called him a chink the entire first half. Even ESPN was racist to him. They titled an article, Chink in the Armor. And it's one thing if an account like mine says something like that. But when ESPN is saying that, crazy. Stories like this are why Lin thought he was blackballed by the league. Now, you might have your doubts though and say it's actually because he sucked or he was too old now. Well, you'd be wrong, because after his injury, Lin joined the G League and went absolutely nuclear. He was number 1 in shooting efficiency, top 10 in scoring and assists, but still didn't get called up. Numbers like this and still not a roster spot? And on top of all that, Lin provides something even more special and unique. That man is an icon in China. He instantly increases a team's fan and audience numbers. You see the effect Ohtani had on baseball? Because of him, the MLB is now destroying viewership records. Lin potentially provides all this, yet teams still don't want him? Heck, even Brooks has a roster spot, and he doesn't even have any fans. Make it make sense. The NBA really let Malone terrorize young girls and put him in the Hall of Fame. Yet Lin doesn't get a roster spot because he looks a little different? Pathetic. The next guy also got blackballed. Because of his blackballs. Literally. I'm talking about Dwight Howard, who didn't do drugs, gamble, or even commit crimes. The NBA just didn't want him, because they saw him as a Karl Malone level threat to them. Malone walked so that Dwight Howard could run. He ran so that Giddey could fly. During the league, that brother was starving as he terrorized everyone with his 99 ball handling. He was blowing kisses, sticking his tongue out, and even got caught playing with his teammates' sweet potatoes. His shenanigans didn't stop here though, because he even challenged Shaq to a wrestling match. Like, why not just challenge him to a boxing match like a normal person, huh? Why you guys gotta be this down bad for? Like, there was even one particular story of Howard's rigmarole that sent shockwaves throughout the league. A report accused Howard of actually assaulting another man, and Howard responded to it by saying it was 100% consensual. My man didn't even try to deny it or anything. Nah, bro said it wasn't forced, but it sure did happen. more details came out and said that Howard started giving that man head, and that's when he told Howard to stop and he wanted to leave now. But he really got topped off by one of the greatest centers of all time and wanted to leave? Nah, that could never be me. Howard then told him he ain't going anywhere. And then on top of not letting him leave, Howard then forced that man to watch him go to town on another guy. And this is what eventually got Howard blackballed from the NBA. Make sure you like the video and hit the sub button too. Well, if you want.